You know, guys, when people say things are bad in this country, they are not over exaggerating. Things are really bad in this country, man. And the most depressing part about everything that is happening in this country is that it's almost as if South Africans have given up on this country. It's almost as if the people of this country do not love this country anymore. So they have decided to give up on this country. Today, as we speak, the country is literally on its knees. And that is because of the decisions that the people of this country have been making throughout the years. I mean, let's look at voting. During voting day, majority of South Africans will wake up in the morning to go to the polls to give power to the politicians that have been destroying this country throughout the years. Meaning that majority of the people that are going to the polls, they are okay with the status quo. Many people who are eligible to vote, they are not even going to the polls, meaning that these people are okay with everything that is happening in the country. When you take those two factors, you would actually realize that the people who want this country to go forward, the people who actually want the best for this country, are a minority. But it is sad because this minority will always be frustrated because the minority will have to live under the rule of the majority. So it doesn't matter if 20% of the voters are actually making the good decisions that actually can assist this country to go forward. It doesn't matter if it's 20%. 80% of the people will make the decisions that are going to make this country to drown. So that 20% of the minority who actually want things to work, they will have to live under the rule of the majority. That's why this country is where it is today. I mean, if we had voters who are voting with common sense in this country, if we had people who actually love this country, if we had people who actually want to change in this country, we would not be dealing with half of the problems that we are dealing with today. We would not be dealing with half of the problems that we are dealing with today. Today we are going to talk about Aaron Motsoaledi going on national television to say that the government does not have enough money to hire the doctors. Do you think if South Africans have made right decisions, we would be dealing with such problems? Do you think if South Africans made right decisions, we would have a president going around proudly telling the whole world that 18 million people, 28 million South Africans are depending on social grant, and that is a good thing? We would not be dealing with the problems that we are dealing with today. But the decisions that South Africans continue to make are the ones that have actually landed us in this mess that we are in today. It is sad, man. It is sad. What is happening with South Africans? Guys, have we actually totally given up on this country? When the Minister of Health goes on television to say that we as the government do not have enough money to hire the doctors, that should be shocking to the rest of us. Because who would have thought that one person can actually study to become a doctor and sit at home and be unemployed? At some point, you were guaranteed that you were going to work. If you would start to become the doctor, it was guaranteed that you would find employment and your life would be okay because you are doing a very wonderful job helping the people. But today, under the ANC government, it doesn't matter what you study. You can study to become whatever. You will still sit at home and be unemployed. And the people are okay with that because come voting day, they will still vote for the same people that are saying all of these things on national television. It is sad, man. It is sad.
For the past few days, a group of highly trained medical professionals have been making their voices heard outside the Eastern Cape Premier's office. Unemployed doctors and dentists are demanding to be hired, citing a desperate shortage of healthcare workers across the province. Last year, the South African Medical Association and other unions protested against the unemployment of doctors. How big is this issue of unemployed doctors, not only in the Eastern Cape, but in South Africa? Let's now have that conversation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Minister, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. What's your reflection around what's happening here with the unemployed doctors?
Well, Aldrin, let's talk about unemployment generally. It is not nice, and I don't think anybody in the country, inside or outside government, enjoys the issue of people not being employed. You are aware the concept of unemployed graduates started long ago. It's not only doctors. Yes, there is a shortage of doctors in 90% of the world. We know that very well. But to hire them also, you need resources. Now, in our country, I'm sure you are aware, even in September, the Minister of Finance mentioned it. We, even in February, we have got very serious austerity measures, very crippling budget cuts that affect not only our capacity to hire doctors, but to perform quite a large number of functions. So yes, we do agree with the grievances of doctors, but in the final analysis, you cannot give a job for which you don't have the means to pay such people, and that's exactly the situation in which we are.
Yeah.
So the Minister of Health is basically saying that no, the doctors are not special because you guys are not the only people that are not employed. You are not the only people that are dealing with the issue of unemployment rate. So basically the doctors are not special. And it is sad, man, because when you look at the South African government, you look at how this whole GNU has been structured. How many deputy ministers do we have? And do we need those deputy ministers? Just look at how bloated Ramaphosa's cabinet is. Just look at how bloated the parliament is. But these people are not even talking about it. I mean that. Just look at the security of these people, the security of the likes of Aaron Motsoaledi, the ministers and the deputy ministers. Just look at how much money is being spent on these people's security. But none of these people, they are talking about all of that. No, they are just saying that, no, you guys are not the only people that are dealing with this issue of unemployment rate. There are other people that are dealing with the issue of unemployment. So it is not only you. It is not only you. So when you listen to the minister, I mean, like, he has that condescending, I don't know, attitude towards this whole thing that has been discussed. He has that, like, you doctors, yeah, we understand that you guys are unemployed, but let's look at unemployment. Let's look at unemployment rate. They are 90% of the world, they are dealing with the same issue that we are dealing with. This is how Aaron Motsoaledi always answers the questions. This is how he always answered whenever he's been questioned about some of these things. But nobody is talking about how bloated the cabinet of the cabinet of Ramaphosa is, how much money is being spent on the security of these people, how much money has been spent on the parliament, the pegs of the people that are in parliament. Guys, the pegs of the people that are in parliament, nobody is talking about trimming all of these things so that we can have the doctors in this country. No, they are just saying that you guys are not special. You are not the only people that are dealing with the issue of unemployment rate.
Yeah, speaking about what Treasury said last year, there was a promise that was made by your successor, Dr. Joe Phaahla, while he was still Minister of Health. This is what he said: our national team is working with the National Treasury to thresh out the details and working with provincial health departments to speed up the process so that by April the 1st, all those who will not be already in post can start, meaning that money will be made available through Treasury. And he says that I'm confident that with this certainty, provinces will be able to start giving appointment letters even before April the 1st, 2024. So what happened to that commitment?
Well, we are discussing with Treasury almost every month about our needs in health because of austerity measures. But as far as I know, I don't know under what conditions Dr. Phaahla was making that statement. As far as I know, at that time, because I was also in cabinet still, the Treasury was discussing about the issue of internship. Because Aldrin, please give me some little bit of time to explain this, because I've had whole lot of statements, yes. In medicine, you study for 6 years. When you complete, you can't do anything. You can't work. You can't go into private practice. You can't open your practice. You can't do anything unless you do internship, which is for 2 years. It is statutory, means whether the government likes it or not, the treasury will have to stop something somewhere to hire an intern because it's statutory. And now that's what I remember at that time. There were more than 800 doctors or interns which were not placed, and they were discussing with Treasury to place them. After you finish internship, you go and do community service, which is also statutory. You are forced by law, and so the state is forced to hire you, whether it likes it or not. After that, you are a free person. You are a fully-fledged doctor. You can go anywhere. If the state advertises post, you can apply. If the post is in a private sector, you can apply. If you want to open your own private practice, you can do so. If you want to go and work elsewhere, you can do anything. Now I hear words like absorption. After community service, there's nothing like absorption. You apply for a job like any other job seeker, like any other graduate who is employed somewhere. I personally am a doctor. I would like people, and I'm a minister too. I would like people to get employed, but I don't want to give you an impression that there's a special deal for some people because they are doctors. We also have unemployed nurses, unemployed social workers, all of them, unfortunately, because of austerity measures and budgetary constraints.
So does this mean then when Dr. Joe Pahla last year during the president's SONA debate said that the money has been found to hire the doctors, that wasn't true?
No. I say I remember. I was not there. I can't vouch for that. I say I remember the issue here being about interns because it's statutory. Treasury is forced to stop something somewhere within the state to make sure that the government meets its statutory obligations. I'm talking about that. Any other job in the state, whether of a doctor or a nurse or a teacher, there ought to be a budget and such jobs get advertised. There is nothing called you are absorbing. The only people who get absorbed are those who are fresh from university, doing internship, and fresh from internship, doing community service. After that, you are a job seeker like any other. That's why at the moment, some few jobs have been advertised. Like in Gauteng, they've advertised 57 jobs. In Limpopo, 54. In Mpumalanga, 26. In Northwest, 25. In North.
And this guy is talking about 26, 56, and you are talking about thousands and thousands of doctors. And the other thing that is actually making these doctors frustrated, it is because they see these foreign doctors that are being hired in the public in the public hospitals. And this is a very frustrating issue that has actually not been discussed, but many people are saying that how is it possible that all of these foreign doctors are hired when South African doctors are sitting at home? This is one of the things that these doctors are actually complaining about, that these foreign doctors are all over the place. We see these Zimbabwean, these Nigerian doctors all over the place, but we are not hired. But for some reason, these people are hired. So it is clear that you guys are actually being replaced by these people that come outside of this country. The ANC has made it very clear that when it comes to hiring the people, the foreigners are always been preferred. They're always been preferred. So what about this issue of the foreign doctors? What about the issue of foreign doctors? How can South African government actually hire the foreign doctors when you know that you have the South African doctors that are protesting outside? But these people, they continue to hire these foreign doctors. They continue to hire these foreign doctors, and these poor doctors cannot say anything about these foreign doctors that are all over the place, because if they dare say anything about these foreign doctors that are all over the place, then they are xenophobic. They are xenophobic. Aaron Mutsaledi is there talking about, there are posts that are out. You are talking about Mpumalanga, 57 doctors, Gauteng, 12 doctors, Free State, 22 doctors. Man, we have thousands and thousands of doctors. You are talking about 15, 20, 21. There are thousands and thousands of doctors. Thousands and thousands of doctors.
Western Cape 60, in Western Cape 73, all of them, the closing date was in December, which means they are still going to appoint such doctors. But these are advertised jobs, and they can't advertise more than this if they don't have money to pay. You can't hire people which you are not able to pay. Any employer anywhere in the world, public or private, will only hire people if you have got money to pay them for that employment.
Yeah, and due to these austerity measures, unfortunately, the department can't employ these people, even though there is a critical shortage. What is our current doctor-to-patient ratio in the country?
There's a critical shortage of doctors anywhere in the world, I must say, Aldrin. Maybe except in Cuba, because it's known to be the only country that exports doctors. You know, it's their foreign export. All other countries recruit and they've got a shortage, but the poorer ones, it's a double whammy. They've got a shortage, but they also have a problem of small economies like ourselves. So that we have got a shortage of doctors, but you also cannot hire them. The richer countries only suffer a shortage of doctors and they recruit them. We have even discussed this matter in the World Health Assembly, where all ministers of health in the world meet in Geneva every May. One of the topics was this issue, because very small countries complain about losing doctors to rich ones. You know, for instance, in the Middle East, they don't train doctors, they don't train nurses, they just get them from African countries and pay them a lot of money because of their oil reserves, and you can't compete with them. So it's a little bit of a more complex issue of having a shortage, but also not resources to deal with that shortage.
Yeah, but what is our doctor-to-patient ratio, and how does it compare in terms of the WHO recommendation of 1 to 1,000 patients?
Unfortunately, I don't have the figure right here with me. We don't even look at it because we know we are very, very far from reaching it. I've already informed you there are not many doctors who reach that ratio. It's quite high. Maybe only richer doctors are nearer to it. And I'm insisting that as far as I know, the only country that has really completely reached that ratio and even exporting doctors elsewhere is Cuba. All the others who are at various levels depending on the strength of your economy. But unfortunately, I don't have the hard figures here with me.
Yeah.
And these are the people that want you to believe that they can implement the national health insurance. They want you to believe that they can implement and run something as big as the national health insurance, but they cannot even hire the doctors. They cannot even hire the doctors. These are the problems that these people should be dealing with. The fact that we have crappy, the fact that we have shitty healthcare facilities, the fact that the public hospitals are a horror show. These are the issues that you would think that the likes of Aron Motsoaledi would be focusing on. The fact that we don't have the doctors, these are the issues that you would think that the likes of Aron Motsoaledi would actually be focusing on. But they were busy talking about the national health insurance and how they can actually run the national health insurance when they themselves have failed to even maintain the hospitals that we have. They have failed to maintain the clinics that we have. Now they are failing to even hire the doctors. But for some reason, they wanted the people to believe that they can implement something as big as the national health insurance. This is why South Africans must not fall into the lies of the likes of Aron Motsoaledi and the South African government when they are talking the big talk, because you just have to go back and actually look at what these people are doing or what these people are failing to do, and you will get to understand that most of these things that they are talking about, they cannot even do. They cannot even do. Right now, Aron Motsoaledi is caught flat-footed because he's busy about the NHI when they don't even have the doctors. They are busy about the NHI. They are talking about the NHI. So you, as an average South African, do you actually believe that the people who are so incompetent can actually hire the NHI, can actually implement the NHI? Do you believe Aron Motsoaledi, as the Minister of Health, can actually implement something as big as the NHI? They cannot. They cannot. They are not even able to deal with small issues that are facing them. They are not even dealing with the small issues that are facing them. You know, if the ANC government was actually serious, they would say that, guys, instead of us talking about the NHI, instead of us encouraging our people not to go to these public health facilities that we have broken down, instead of not encouraging our people not to go to these hospitals that we have decided to break down, how about we go back to these hospitals and actually ensure that these hospitals are good? How about we make sure that the clinics are good? How about we make sure that all of these things are good? How about we make sure that we have sufficient doctors in this country before we even talk about issues like the NHI? But no, this is not what they are doing. This is not what they are doing. This is not what they are doing. So I'm sorry, if you are a doctor or if you are studying to become a doctor in this country, you are completely screwed. You are completely screwed. That era of the doctors and people knowing that if you study to become a doctor, then you are ensured to get an employment. It is done. That era, it is done. This is the new era. Aaron Motsoaledi told you that after you have finished all of these things that he is talking about, now you are just like any other job seeker. You are just like any other job seeker. So you can sit down 2 or 3 years with your degrees and your diplomas. You can sit down because you are not the only person that is seeking for a job. This is what the South African government is telling the doctors, knowing very well how important it is for us to actually have the doctors. They are telling them that, guys, you are not special. You are just like any other job seeker. You are just like any other job seeker. This is what Aaron Motsoaledi is telling you, and he's telling us about the statistics of the world that, no, we are not the only ones that are dealing with this issue. Even the rest of the world is dealing with this issue. That's why I'm saying he's having a condescending attitude, because he's not focusing on South Africa. He's trying to say that, no, guys, stop trying to look at us as if we were special. Just look at the rest of the world. Whatever that is happening in the rest of the world, this is how you should measure our progress. This is how you should measure our progress. It is disgusting. It is disgusting, and at the same time, it is disappointing. It is disappointing.
Then what's the plan going forward? Because interview that my colleague Naledi had yesterday with the spokesperson the spokesperson for the unemployed doctors in the Eastern Cape, Dr. Ngai, she mentioned the fact that what this has led to, this critical shortage, is a delay in patient care. But it also leads to another problem, which could be the medical legal claims that then come against the Department of Health. And we know how the provinces themselves have been crumbling when it comes to their budgets around the medical legal claims that have also been escalating.
Well, fortunately, in 2015, Aldrin, when medical legal cases became worse, we had a conference to try and deal with the issue. It's not only the shortage of doctors, it's several factors that lead to medical legal claims, and we've put measures to try and deal with those. But you know that one of the factors is that quite a number of claims were found to be fraudulent. That's why we brought SIU in. So it is true that it does affect that, but it's not only about employment. It's about many other factors, including infrastructure, equipment, skills, including the management, how the management of that hospital handles things. So it's a myriad of factors other than just the employment.
Yeah. And when we have conversations like these, then people look at them and then say, and here you have the government that wants to push the national health insurance. What's your
exactly
response? And here you have the government that wants to push the national health insurance. What's your response to that particular argument? That here you have Okay, you can go ahead, Minister.
I was expecting that question. I would have been surprised if you don't ask it, because many people ask it because they don't understand. Aldrin, national health insurance is not a part of a vintage healthcare system in which you enter when you have got all the doctors you need, all the equipment, all the facilities, and everything that is needed in a healthcare. That's not what universal health cover or NHI means. NHI is a healthcare financing system, partly to resolve the very same issue they are complaining about. Because, for instance, Aldrin, you are aware that according to the World Health Organization, a country must spend at least 5% of its GDP on health. Then citizens are likely to get very good health services if you spend that 5%. In South Africa, we have already far exceeded it. We are at 8.5%, which is not different from European countries at an average of 9%. So what is our problem? People mention all the other problems like corruption, mismanagement, etc., which I can't deny they are there. But the core problem is the manner in which the money in South Africa is distributed. 51% of that money, of that 8.5% of GDP, go to support only 14% of the population. And a whooping 86% of the population remains on the remaining 49%. That is the issue of gross inequity, which NHI is there to solve. And we are not the only country in the world.
And did the Minister of Health say that corruption is not a problem?
That came with the concept of NHI. It is called universal health coverage.
Yeah.
Discussed by the World Health Organization, adopted at the United Nations. I don't remember a single country that said they want to opt out or never supported it. And the reason, the basic reason, is equity in health. How do you spend the money that is in health? So in short, we are saying money is there in South Africa, but it is completely unevenly distributed in favor of only 14% of the population who are well-to-do. And when we implement NHI, that is our target. That's the issue we want to solve, not the other things that people are mentioning.
Yeah, but would NHI be able to deal with this issue of unemployed doctors, though, in terms of, we speak about doctor-to-patient ratio?
If you distribute the money equitably, yes. You won't 100% deal with it. As I said, I repeat it. I don't know any country that has been able to do that yet, even though some are better. But once you have equitable distribution of resources, you are in a better position than we are in now, where at the moment all the money goes to support 14% of the population, leaving 86 in the large. That's what NHI is here to solve. Now I hear people saying, no, solve those problems before you bring NHI, meaning if we are able to solve those problems without NHI, then we don't need NHI. The reason that the world came up with it, it was looked at as the only solution to unequitable distribution of health resources around the world, between countries and even among countries, inside countries themselves, which is what South Africa is.
So if the South African government and their cadres are stealing and committing corruption, now with the kind of budget that they have, what about the budget of the NHI? If these people cannot deal with these issues, like the issue of corruption that Aaron Motsoaledi is saying it is not such a big deal, what actually gives these people an idea that the NHI is going to be better? Because you will still have the corrupt cadres that are there, and this time around they will be eating much more. So of course, this is exactly what South Africans are saying, that you don't need NHI, but you need to fix these problems that we are talking about. You don't need NHI, because if you could fix the hospitals, if you could fix the clinics, then you don't have to tell the people to go to the private hospitals, because you know very well that the public hospitals are good. That's why people are saying, why do you need the NHI when you can deal with the issue of pathetic and shitty and crappy healthcare facilities? If you can deal with that issue of healthcare facilities, if you can deal with the issue of corruption within health, then you don't need the NHI. This is exactly what the people are saying. But no, the ANC says no, we don't have to deal with this issue of the hospitals. We don't have to fix the hospitals. We don't have to get proper management for these healthcare facilities. We just need to implement the NHI so that we can tell the people to go to the private hospitals. It is crazy, man. It is crazy. Anyway, guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.